Alright, welcome back guys. In this video we're going to go over our appliances. They're propane / electrical appliances. At the end of this video we'll do a sit down and talk about the pros and cons and what we like and dislike about these things. So stay tuned. We're going to go over our range, our refrigerator, and our freezer and tell you what we like and dislike about them. So let's start off with the range first, and all of our appliances are all unique. The reason why we went with unique is basically because we have a retailer that sells unique propane stuff in town. I'm sure there's other great appliances out there, but we've had the range and the refrigerator for 2+ years, and the freezer coming up on 1 year. So we haven't had any issues with any of them. So let's get into our first item, and that is our range. So here's our range. It is a 30-inch range, so it's actually like a full size, like a range you'd find in your typical house. A lot of times you find in cabins, you'll find the smaller ranges where you can't really have 4 pots and pans on them all at once, but on this one the top section's large enough to have 4 burners going at once and boiling water or whatever you're doing all on 4 separate burners. So that's an item that we really wanted with our purchase, and so that's why we got this. The overall dimensions of this is 39.5 or 39.4 inches for the height. It's 30 inches wide and it's 27.5 inches deep. The oven dimensions is 13.7 inches by 24.25 by 20 inches. The surface top of this thing is 24 by 22.5 inches, and it weighs approximately 162 pounds. So when we talk about how much propane this uses, we actually have no clue, because to be honest, it goes for months. It's got a D-size battery that fits in it, so there's never a pilot light lit consistently or constantly. So basically you have to hold, and you hear the clicking, so you hold the burner for the tops or hold the oven burner, and then that's how you light it, and the battery makes a little click click clicking sound. Like I said, we've had this 2 years or over 2 years, and we've never replaced the D-volt battery, so it's basically just a little click click click, and then it ignites, and that's it. So really we go months on one 30-gallon or 30-pound tank for the range here. So anyways, like I said, at the end of the video we are going to go over our pros and cons of these things, and there are both. So but for now we're going to start on our refrigerator. So let's get set up and we'll go through this humdinger. So our next item on the list is the refrigerator. The refrigerator that we bought, they make bigger ones and they make smaller ones, but we got the 13.4 cubic foot refrigerator. It's got 9.4 cubic feet of refrigerator space, and it's got 4 cubic feet of freezer space. That's just for the two of us. That's pretty big size. We can comfortably fit the majority of what we need in there, except for freezer space, and that's why last year we bought a freezer so we could put all of our meat and fish and crab and stuff in that. So for this one, it's unique as well. Like I said, the doors on it are reversible, so if you want to swing out left or swing out right, you can do that. It's got glass inside. We'll open it up here in a minute and show you. And it's got glass inside for the shelves and a little crisper drawer. And then like I don't know, the very first week we went into town, and it's got a sticker on the bottom, and I left some Pepsis in there, and it was during the winter and it froze, and the sticker's kind of stained, but that's because of my Pepsi addiction. It's not dirty, it's just stained with exploded Pepsi inside there. The weight of this thing is 240 pounds, so it's a little on the hefty side. I don't remember who helped us bring it over. Or was it just me and you that brought it over? I'm looking at my wife, she's not listening. I think it was just me and her. We brought it over just fine with the two of us. As far as how much gas this consumes, it uses 1.4 pounds of LPG in a 24-hour period. And basically for us, on a 30-pound tank, we get 3.5 to 4 weeks of use out of a 30-pound tank. So really, almost once a month we have to change out the tank, and we have a little post-it note, like a little dry erase board on the side of the refrigerator, and so when we do a tank swap, we just write the date up there. That way we know when we're going into town, we just check the last time we swapped it out to make sure that if we're going to town, if we should pull them or let them, they can last another week or so. So anyways, we'll open up the fridge and give you a little looks inside and let you see what it looks like, what a 13.4 cubic foot refrigerator looks like. All right, so here's what the inside looks like. As you can see, we didn't do any type of fancying up. This is exactly the way we use our refrigerator. So you've got 2 shelves, well actually 3 shelves, so you can arrange them however you want. They've got little slots on the sides, and then you've got a crisper drawer down here that you can keep your Crispies, and then you have, now these are only probably 6 inches wide, so you can't keep a gallon of milk in here. If you're going to do milk, you got to put it in there, but that's what your sides look like. And then we'll talk about the back section there that's getting all crystalled up. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then here's what your freezer looks like. Same thing. You keep a little ice cream in here. Thank you, Craig and Millie. They brought us some ice cream. It doesn't have an automatic ice maker, so you just got to do it like, you know, when you were a little kid. You got to just fill your ice trays up, and that's how you get the ice. So then we'll go out and check on the freezer, and then we'll sit down and do a little pros and cons on this thing. All right, so here you go. Here's our freezer. Man, the lighting's really bad in here, but basically this is a 6 cubic foot freezer. The dimensions on this guy is 30 by 40.5 by 29, and the gas consumption on this is 1.8 pounds in a 24-hour period. Now, to be honest, we have insulated the inside of our cabin from out here, so this actually stays a lot cooler. We keep the inside around, in the summer and the winter, we keep it around 65 degrees. So even the refrigerator may burn less propane by paper, but this actually lasts a month without doing a propane swamp on a 30-pound tank, just because it stays relatively cool all year round. Because in the southeast, we typically don't get above 60 degrees in the summertime, and right now we've been in the 50s and maybe hitting the 60s for the high. So even in the summertime, we're still going at least a month without having to change this this propane out here. All right, so we'll open this humdinger up and show you what it looks like on the inside of there, and then we'll go and sit down on the couch in there and give you a little and answer some questions that we think is going to be brought up about these. All right, so here's what your inside looks like. As you can see, we just keep our chicken. We got some beef out here. We got let's see, moose, and we got salmon. And at the bottom we have some, we got some crab down there. Yeah, so this keeps plenty of food for us throughout the year. Like I said, we still have fish, and fishing season's here again, so we've been able to live off this thing all winter long and keep our fish supply built up. So it really has come in handy. So let's go back inside. We'll sit down and then chit-chat about what we like and what we don't like about these things.
You don't want to watch the camera? Oh, yuck.
Gunner, come on.
Oh, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Okay, come on, hop down. Hop down, Bubba. Oh, goodness gracious. Hey,
we're matching today.
Look at you.
I'm out of my pajamas just for this.
I got real tree on too. You got scent lock on though. That keeps the BO in.
It's from Costco.
Oh, mine's from Costco.
There you go.
Hey, perfect. All right, so let's talk about the pros and cons of this thing. For the range, since that's what we started with, let's talk about the range.
I love my range. I love to cook on top of my range. The only negative for me is I don't have the magic touch, and it takes a special hand.
It takes some finesse.
It takes some gentle hand to light the stove, and I have no patience for it. So I'm constantly asking Brian to.
It is tricky. It's tricky to light the stove because you have to turn the knob, get the little D battery to start clicking, and after like 10 seconds the pilot light clicks, and then you have to like let off just barely, ease off of it, and then turn it. And then if you don't have the right little dexterity in your fingers to do it, then you won't be able to do it, because we've had it for 2 years, and every time it gets ready to cook, she says, "Ryan, come light the stove for me." Then I go and light it.
Well, first he wants me to lay there for 30 minutes and try, and then
because it's not impossible. You can do it. You just have to get the trick down. So there is a trick to it, and it is frustrating. Is it frustrating?
Yes, I get frustrated, and then I call you.
So that is the con to that. I haven't ever tried really like turning the propane on and then taking like a lighter and trying to stick a lighter in there. And
the one we
light
had
it.
before, that's how you turned it on, and I could do that fine.
Yeah, so we haven't tried that. But even with my finesse, a lot of times you still have to lay down. You have to open up the, what do they call the bottom shelf? Your like double broiler. You still have to open the broiler up and kind of like lay down and turn it and see because if you don't have good hearing, if you were in the Army for 20 plus years and you don't have good hearing, it's hard to hear the flame go and go out, light up. So a lot of the times I'll either be laying on the ground tinkering up top, or she'll lay down on the ground and I'll tinker up top. But that's the only downside really to the range.
It's a nice big range. You could cook a turkey in there if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's huge.
You could cook a pizza in there.
It's a full-size house range. I mean, it's not a little small, tiny cabin range. It is a range for a house.
Yeah, it's really nice.
The burners on it are awesome. The top burners, they're super easy to clean. Maybe we should go over, if you want us to go over a little more in detail about the range and stuff, let us know on how you take apart and clean it and everything. We could do that, but really it just disassembles and assembles so easy that it's
really nice.
It's really user friendly, except for lighting the stove.
And we're not the only ones who have a problem with it. If you ever look at the reviews, I'm not the only one who can't light their...
There's a lot of people shaking fists when they're trying to cook in the oven.
Yeah. So I go grill a lot.
Well, we like to grill it. She likes to grill a lot anyways. So yeah, I think all in all, I'm super happy with it, except for lighting the oven.
Mm-hmm.
Now for the refrigerator, I'll install a little clip here, and we could talk about the biggest con to both the refrigerator and the freezer is that you have to defrost them. So eventually, after a period of time,
2 months if the house is typically 70 degrees, 2 months to the day, I have to defrost.
So that means you have to take everything out of the freezer, or basically everything out of the refrigerator, because you don't always defrost the freezer and the refrigerator at the same time.
Yeah, I can kind of go 4 months with the
freezer.
Yeah.
So there's fins at the very back of the refrigerator, and those fins will start to collect condensation, and that condensation will turn to ice, and they basically build up. And when they get full of ice, the refrigerator will stop doing its job. You'll see the temperature go boop and start going up higher and higher, and that's when you're like, you got to do it.
Now it's only the refrigerator that you do every 2 months. We've had our propane freezer now for how long?
Almost a year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We've never had to defrost it yet, but it's also on our porch in the cold constantly, so the propane lasts forever. And we haven't had to defrost our freezer yet because the fins aren't even full.
Yeah.
It's been really nice.
So size-wise, like I think I said in the video that you can't fit like a carton of milk, but we really don't drink a whole lot of milk anyways, and if we do buy milk, we buy the little
Shelf milk.
the UTH milk or whatever, the stuff that doesn't, you can just leave outside really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't taste awesome, but it doesn't taste horrible, and that's what we used a lot in the military, and so I just got accustomed to using it. And then when we moved out here, before we had any refrigerator at all, we started buying that UTH milk, and that's what we used, and then that's what we still use today. So for us, not having a place, I think it could fit like a half gallon of milk in there, but if you're going a gallon, you just need to find a spot on the shelf somewhere and stick your milk. Anything on the inside that you like or dislike?
No, it's nice and big, and I don't have any qualms with my refrigerator freezer. I love it. It's great.
And this is like a 13.4, and I think they make like a 22 cubic foot refrigerator, and I think that's like a full-blown house refrigerator. So
this is big enough for us.
yeah, that's big enough for what we do here. And then the only problem was we were running out of, with the fishing, the hunting, and the crabbing, we were running out of space. We couldn't put it in the little 4 cubic foot freezer that comes with the refrigerator, so we bought our freezer outside. And like I said, that's really been a
Best investment ever.
hook it up and forget about it, because our entryway, like I said, isn't really insulated. It's insulated between the house and that, so it's warmer than outside, but not as warm as it is in here, so it's still like 50 degrees inside there. And so that really limits the amount of propane that gets used to keep everything cold. And with what a chest freezer I like is that when you open it up to get stuff out of it, unlike a stand-up or a refrigerator, when you open the door to a stand-up, all your cold air just falls out. When you have a chest freezer, when you open it up, there's nowhere for it to fall to, so you're basically not really letting a whole lot of cold air out and making your unit work harder to re-chill everything. So all in all, I really like the freezer because we've been able to store a bunch of stuff in that thing, and yeah, everything else we like too, except for I think our biggest gripe is the stove.
Yeah.
Just not being able to light it.
But he's got the magic touch.
I got the magic touch. Yeah. So here's the deal is, and I thought about this too, because the other thing that is obviously a con is price. So when you buy propane refrigerators and propane freezers, the price is like double of what a normal electric refrigerator freezer would be. So I think the refrigerator was like $2,000. The freezer was probably close to the same, probably $1,000, $1,300, something like that. I don't remember what, but I think we got the range on sale, so we didn't pay a whole lot for that. But really, you're going to pay almost double of what you're getting.
But some people say they've had their propane appliances for like 20 years or something.
Yeah, the Unique brand is like the top notch of the brands as far as I've read reviews and everything. And like I said, we've had the fridge and the range for over 2 years with absolutely no issues. There is a little cleaning, and you gotta take the stuff out and defrost it. But other than that, it's no big deal. And if you're living off grid and want to do something like this, then typically you're not working a 9-to-5 job, so you'll have a little extra time on your hands anyways to do the maintenance on the stuff.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So that's the other big con, would be just the price range. So you could think, okay, so I'm spending an extra $1,000 on the refrigerator, and this is what our biggest dilemma was do we spend a little bit of money for the freezer, for the refrigerator, or do we spend a lot of money and do solar right away? And so because we didn't have that big, huge amount to dump on solar, we went with propane. Now, once we get solar hooked up, and then we can convert all this stuff. I mean, there's no conversion, really.
I think you flip a switch.
You turn a knob and you plug it in, and it's electric. So
yeah.
we'd have to see on what size solar we had, because we don't have solar now. We just have a battery bank and we run the generator to charge our batteries. But once we get solar, maybe we'll flip it to electric and then
see how much juice we
see how
suck
much
up.
juice we suck. Yeah, and then you can just have propane as a backup. But really, the propane, I mean, I don't know how much. I don't know how much.
Refrigerator. What's the big one? 33.
Yeah, so they're like 30-pound tanks.
So the refrigerator at 70 degrees lasts 3 weeks in the house.
This one lasts.
Oh gosh, probably like a month and a half, I would imagine.
Yeah, it lasts over 4 weeks out there.
Yeah, definitely. And then the stove lasts forever.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I think the stove on a 30-pound tank can last 5 months, maybe.
Oh gosh, a long
But we
time.
also grill a lot, so maybe that's why we're not doing as much. But
Because I can't turn the stove on.
but anyways, so if you have any questions about the stuff, just leave a comment down below. We'll do our best to answer what we can, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have anything else that you'd like us to, any other questions you'd like for us to field, just leave us a comment. So thank you for watching, and have a great week.
Bye.
All right, get it, Nono. Come on, Gunner. Get in here.